The world may have looked at me and called me poor, but spirit never agreed with that verdict. The world spoke from appearances. Heaven spoke from truth. The world said, "You must struggle. You must chase. You must compete. You must climb the hard mountain of human success with tired hands and a worried heart." But the still voice within whispered something entirely different. It said, "Be still. Speak the word. Stand in divine order. Let the invisible arrange what the visible cannot yet explain." And from that moment, I began to understand a great spiritual law. Man is not the servant of appearances. Man is the steward of invisible substance. You were not created to bow before circumstances. You were not born to be hypnotized by numbers, delays, bills, opinions, or the changing moods of the outer world. You were born with the creative word in your mouth, the divine breath within your being, and a lawful connection to the unlimited supply of God. You may think you are listening now because you wish to become a multi-millionaire, but let us begin higher than that. In the realm of spirit, you are already supplied, you are already provided for, you are already connected to all the good that belongs to you by divine right. The purpose of the spoken word is not to force God to give you something. It is to bring your consciousness into agreement with what divine intelligence has already prepared. Every right dollar, every right opportunity, every right person, every right idea, every right door, every right appointment already exists in the invisible storehouse of divine substance. It waits not for your anxiety. It waits for your alignment. It waits for the word. For the word is not merely sound. The word is spiritual action. The word is the first movement of creation. Before anything becomes form, it must be accepted in consciousness. Before it appears in the hand, it is received in the soul. Before the outer door opens, the inner door must be unlocked by faith. So when I say, I am a multi-millionaire, I am not speaking from vanity. I am not making a boast. I am not worshiping money. I am declaring supply as a spiritual law. I am saying, God is my unfailing source. Divine substance is never depleted. The channels of good are open. My life is governed by divine order, not by fear. The sacred words I am are not careless words. They are creative words. They are identity words. They are throne words. When you say I am, you are placing a crown upon the idea that follows. If you say, I am poor, you crown poverty. If you say, I am stuck, you crown delay. If you say, I am afraid, you give fear a chair in your inner kingdom. But when you say, I am supplied, you crown supply. When you say, I am guided, you crown divine wisdom. When you say, I am wealthy by divine right, you crown abundance as the lawful expression of God's good in your life. This is why one must speak carefully, lovingly, and with great spiritual authority. Your words are not weak little sounds floating away into empty air. Your words are seeds planted in the invisible. They go forth to fulfill the atmosphere you give them. And every day, whether you know it or not, you are speaking something into law. You speak lack into law when you say, I can never afford that. You speak delay into law when you say, nothing ever works for me. You speak struggle into law when you say, money is so hard to get. You speak fear into law when you rehearse every possible failure before the good has had time to unfold. But you may also reverse the entire current of your life with a new word spoken in faith. You may say, I am guided by divine intelligence. My words are filled with power and peace. Divine order now governs every part of my life. I speak only the word of faith, abundance, and right action. The way is made clear before me. And as these words are spoken not as empty repetition, but as a calm spiritual decree, the subconscious begins to receive a new instruction. The nervous system begins to rest. The imagination begins to expect good. The outer world begins to rearrange according to the new inner pattern. I once thought faith meant waiting silently, hoping God would notice my need. But I learned that faith also speaks. Faith does not beg. Faith affirms. Faith does not panic. Faith knows. Faith does not keep repeating the evidence of lack. Faith announces the evidence of spirit. There is a great difference between forcing and affirming. Forcing comes from fear. Affirming comes from spiritual authority. Forcing says, I must make this happen. Affirming says, divine order is already at work, and I now cooperate with it. When the word is spoken from fear, it trembles. When the word is spoken from faith, it governs. And so I began to speak differently. I stopped beginning my morning with complaint. I stopped bowing to the bank account as though it were my profit. I stopped consulting appearances as though they had the final word. Instead, I spoke. Before the world could name my day, I named it. Before fear could organize my thoughts, I gave my thoughts to God. Before lack could rehearse its old story, I declared a new law. I said, God is my unfailing supply. Large sums of money come to me under grace, in perfect ways. I am divinely provided for now. My good comes through perfect channels, in perfect timing, with perfect ease. I am a multimillionaire by divine law, and the substance of good is here now. At first, nothing in the outer world seemed to move, but that did not matter. The seed does not shout when it begins to grow beneath the soil. The tide does not ask permission before it turns. The invisible does not need to explain itself while it is arranging the visible. So I continued. I spoke when I felt strong. I spoke when I felt weak. I spoke when the bills came. I spoke when the answers were delayed. I spoke when the world said, be realistic. I spoke when old fears rose up and tried to return me to the former language of limitation. And slowly, surely, peacefully, a new order began. My emotions no longer commanded my speech. My speech began to instruct my emotions. My fear no longer chose my declarations. My declarations began to dissolve my fear. My circumstances no longer defined my identity. My identity began to govern my circumstances. This is the first law of divine prosperity. Do not speak from what you see. Speak from what Spirit knows. Appearances are temporary. Divine law is eternal. The balance in the bank is an appearance. The presence of God is eternal. A bill is an appearance. Divine supply is eternal. A closed door is an appearance. Divine right action is eternal. A delay is an appearance. Divine timing is eternal. A human no is an appearance. God's appointed yes is eternal. So why give your strongest words to the weakest evidence? Why make a shrine of what is passing? Why give fear the power to write your future? No. Let this be the day you recover your spiritual authority. Let this be the day you stop speaking as a victim of conditions and begin speaking as an heir of divine substance. Let this be the day your mouth catches up with heaven. Say it now, calmly, and with full inner authority. I break agreement with the illusion of lack. I release every careless word of poverty I have spoken over my life. I cancel every fear-filled declaration and replace it with divine truth. I am supplied. I am guided. I am wealthy in spirit and rich in expression. I am a multimillionaire by divine law. My good comes to me under grace in perfect ways. The treasury of God is open, and I receive what is mine by divine right. Do not say this as a test. Do not say it to see whether life will obey you by tomorrow morning. Say it because it is the truth you are choosing to enthrone. The spoken word is not a trick. It is a covenant. The word must be spoken with reverence. It must be spoken with rhythm. It must be spoken with the quiet confidence of one who knows that divine intelligence hears, responds, and arranges. There is no need to shout. There is no need to strain. There is no need to convince heaven. Speak as one who belongs to heaven. Speak as one who is already included in divine abundance. Speak as one who knows that supply is not a distant mountain, but a present stream. For the good you seek is not hiding from you. It is seeking expression through you. Your wealth is not waiting for your panic. It is waiting for your permission. Your opportunity is not waiting for your desperation. It is waiting for your recognition. Your miracle is not waiting for your fear. It is waiting for your faith-filled word. The world may say, work harder. Spirit says, speak rightly, then take the right action that is revealed. The world may say, compete. Spirit says, stand in your appointed place, and what belongs to you cannot be kept from you. The world may say, there is not enough. Spirit says, my storehouse is inexhaustible. The world may say, you are late. Spirit says, divine timing has never failed. And this is where true prosperity begins. Not in frantic motion, not in comparison, not in envy, not in fear. True prosperity begins when the soul comes into agreement with divine supply, and the mouth becomes the instrument of that agreement. Your word is your wand, but it must be used wisely. Wave it over lack and speak supply. Wave it over debt and speak divine order. Wave it over confusion and speak right guidance. Wave it over fear and speak peace. Wave it over delay and speak perfect timing. Wave it over your own heart and say, be still. God is the source. The way is opening now. The wealth you are waiting for is waiting for your word, but not a word of desperation, not a word of greed, not a word of pressure, a word of divine identity, a word of calm authority, a word that says, I know who I am, and I know whose supply governs me. You are not here merely to earn. You are here to express divine substance through right thinking, right speaking, right action, and right faith. You are not here to worship money. You are here to master fear. You are not here to chase gold. You are here to let divine good circulate through you as wisdom, service, generosity, order, and abundance. Money is not your source. It is one of the many forms through which supply may appear. God is the source. Divine intelligence is the guide. Your word is the gate. Your faith is the atmosphere. Your intuition is the messenger. Your gratitude is the multiplier. So begin here. Begin with the word. Begin with the morning declaration. Begin before the evidence appears. Begin before the phone rings. Begin before the check arrives. Begin before the door opens, for the word must go before the form. Sigh. This is a day of divine provision. I walk in increase. God goes before me and makes the crooked places straight. Every dollar that belongs to me finds me now. Every opportunity appointed for me is drawn to me now. Every door that is mine by divine right opens under grace. My words are filled with power, peace, and prosperity, and I speak only what I desire to see multiplied. Then rise and move through the day as one who has spoken law. Do not destroy the morning decree with afternoon fear. Do not plant the seed and dig it up with doubt. Do not bless your supply in prayer and curse it in conversation. Do not say, God provides, and then say, nothing ever comes. Do not declare, the way is open, and then whisper, it will probably fail. Let your speech be single. Let your heart be steady. Let your words be clean. Let your faith be simple. The law works through agreement. When your spoken word, your inner belief, your imagination, and your action all move in one direction, the invisible begins to take shape with astonishing grace. And when fear rises, answer it. If fear says, what if there is not enough? Say, my source is infinite, and I am supplied now. If fear says, what if the money does not come? Say, divine substance is already moving through perfect channels. If fear says, you are behind, say, I am in divine timing, and nothing appointed for me can miss me. If fear says, this is impossible, say, with God, the way is already made. This is not denial, this is dominion. You are not denying appearances. You are denying them the right to govern your consciousness. You may see the bill, but you do not crown it. You may notice the delay, but you do not obey it. You may feel fear, but you do not let fear write your sentence. You speak the higher word. You speak the governing word. You speak the word that agrees with divine order. And the moment you speak from that place, something within you shifts. You are no longer a beggar outside the gate. You are an heir, remembering the key. So say it again. I am a multi-millionaire by divine law. I am not waiting for wealth. I am aligning with divine substance. I am not chasing supply. I am receiving supply. I am not ruled by appearances. I am governed by divine order. My word is creative. My faith opens the way. My intuition guides me to right action. My gratitude multiplies my good. The way is clear before me. And all that is mine by divine right now comes to me under grace in perfect ways. Stay with this word. Let it become the atmosphere of your home. Let it become the rhythm of your morning. Let it become the protection over your thoughts. Let it become the correction of your old speech. Let it become the light you carry into every conversation, every decision, every payment, every opportunity, every delay, every open door, every closed door. For when the word changes, the world must eventually answer. When the inner law is established, the outer form must rearrange. When the soul speaks in faith, the visible must become obedient to the invisible. And now, beloved listener, the first door is open. You have remembered that poverty is not your name. Lack is not your law. Fear is not your master. Delay is not your destiny. Your word is creative. Your supply is divine. Your identity is abundance. And the good that belongs to you is already moving toward expression. So speak the word and speak it with peace. Speak the word and speak it with certainty. Speak the word and speak it until your heart rests in it. I speak the word of faith, and divine order now opens my way, and so it is. Now let us go deeper into the law beneath the word. For prosperity does not begin where most people think it begins. It does not begin with an investor. It does not begin with a perfect business plan. It does not begin with a lucky introduction, a clever strategy, a sudden inheritance, a perfect resume, or a brilliant idea written in the back of a notebook at midnight. Those may be channels, but they are not the source. The source is God. The movement begins in consciousness, and the first movement of consciousness is the word. All true wealth begins with a word spoken from spiritual certainty, not a nervous word, not a begging word, not a word shaped by desperation, not a word that says, "Please let this happen if the world permits it." No, a word of true prosperity is spoken from the inner throne. It is spoken as a spiritual fact before it is seen as a financial fact. It carries the calm power of divine order. It is not loud because it is afraid. It is clear because it knows. This is why the first million begins in the mouth. Not because the mouth is magical in a childish way, but because the mouth is the instrument through which the invisible is instructed. The word is the bridge between unformed substance and visible experience. Before the money came, the word came. Before the contract came, the word came. Before the right person appeared, the word came. Before the door opened, the word came. Before the check arrived, before the opportunity was recognized, before the world had any evidence to admire, the word had already gone forth into the unseen and prepared the way. So I did not wait to feel wealthy before I spoke wealth. I did not wait for the bank account to agree before I declared supply. I did not wait for the outer world to give me permission before I took my place in divine abundance. I spoke first, and this is divine order. The world teaches you to say, "When I have it, then I will believe it." But spiritual law says, when you believe it, when you speak it, when you stand in the consciousness of it, then the form must follow. The visible is not the master. The visible is the echo, and too many people are waiting for the echo to speak first. They stand before the empty room of their lives and say, "When I hear abundance, then I will speak abundance." But the echo cannot begin until the voice is released. You must speak. You must send the word ahead of you. You must let your speech become the messenger of your destiny. I began every morning not by checking my accounts, not by measuring my progress, not by rehearsing what was missing, not by consulting yesterday's disappointment, but by speaking the word. I said, "I am a multi-millionaire by divine right, My supply is instant, constant, and inexhaustible. Every channel is open. My wealth flows now under grace, in perfect ways. I am guided to right action. My good cannot be withheld. I speak the word, and the way is made clear. And I did not say these words as a little performance. I said them as law. I said them when I felt tired. I said them when the appearance contradicted me. I said them when the bills looked large and the answer looked small. I said them when the old thought rose up and whispered, "Who do you think you are?" I said them when nothing seemed to change. I said them when everything began to change. And that is where the training of the soul begins. Because your old life will test your new word. The old pattern will ask whether you are serious. The old fear will knock at the door and ask to be invited back in. The old identity will say, "You have always lived this way. Why speak differently now?" But you must answer with the word of truth. You must say, "I do not belong to the old pattern. I do not speak the old sentence. I am under divine order now. My words are filled with faith, power, and peace. My life is not governed by appearances. My life is governed by God." There is a moment when the word stops being a phrase and becomes a government. At first, you speak the affirmation. Then the affirmation begins to speak through you. At first, you repeat the truth. Then the truth begins to occupy your mind. At first, you discipline your mouth. Then your mouth becomes the servant of your higher consciousness. And this is the holy transformation. You are no longer a person trying to become wealthy. You are a spiritual being, learning to express the wealth that has always belonged to divine substance. This is why I say, your first million is already complete in the invisible. It is not absent. It is unexpressed. It is waiting for the right consciousness, the right word, the right alignment, the right action, the right channel, the right timing. It is waiting for the mouth to open the vault. It is waiting for the tongue to turn the key. It is waiting for the soul to stop saying, "I hope," and begin saying, "I receive." The world responds not to panic, but to law. And law is released through the spoken word. Until the word is spoken, the good remains potential. Once the word is spoken in faith, it becomes a command in the unseen. This does not mean you sit in idleness. No, right words awaken right action. Right consciousness produces right movement. When your word is aligned with divine order, intuition becomes clearer. You are guided to make the call, write the message, enter the room, answer the invitation, create the work, forgive the delay, release the wrong door, and recognize the right one when it appears. The spoken word is not a substitute for right action. It is the source of right action. Without spiritual alignment, action becomes frantic. With spiritual alignment, action becomes guided, and guided action carries power. So ask yourself now, with honesty and tenderness, what have I been saying? Have I been describing the appearance or commanding the truth? Have I been rehearsing lack or declaring supply? Have I been repeating delay or speaking divine timing? Have I been using my mouth as a servant of fear or as an instrument of God? Every sentence is a seed. It does not ask whether it should grow. It only follows the nature you gave it. A sentence of fear grows fear. A sentence of lack grows lack. A sentence of resentment grows more reasons to resent. But a sentence of faith begins to grow a new garden. A sentence of gratitude multiplies good. A sentence of divine order brings peace to chaos. A sentence of supply opens channels that fear could never see. Therefore, speak wisely, speak richly, speak reverently, speak as though heaven listens, because heaven does. Speak as though your subconscious receives every word, because it does. Speak as though your future is being instructed, because it is. Say now, my first million is in my mouth. I speak it into law. I speak it into form. I speak it into motion. I speak it into right expression. I am the voice of divine wealth. I am the steward of God's abundance. I am a multi-millionaire by the creative power of the word. And the word is working now. When you speak in this way, You stop chasing money as though it were a god outside of you. Money becomes one of the forms through which divine supply may move. Opportunity becomes one of the forms. Ideas become one of the forms. People become one of the forms. Unexpected gifts become one of the forms. Forgiven debts become one of the forms. New work becomes one of the forms. A sudden solution becomes one of the forms. But the source remains God. And because the source is infinite, the forms can be countless. Never chain your supply to one person, one job, one client, one platform, one paycheck, one plan, or one path. That is not faith. That is fear wearing the clothing of strategy. Faith says, this or something better. This channel or another. This door or the divine door. I do not worship the form. I trust the source. When you understand this, you will no longer be terrified by a closed door. You will say, that door was not mine by divine right. The right door is open now. You will no longer panic when one person does not help you. You will say, no human being is my source. God's appointed helpers now appear. You will no longer collapse when one plan changes. You will say, divine intelligence knows the perfect way, and I am guided step by step. This is spiritual prosperity. It is calm. It is clear. It is faithful. It does not grasp. It does not beg. It does not worship circumstances. It speaks the word, listens for guidance, and moves in divine order. So now, before we continue, place this law in your heart. The word goes before the wealth. The decree goes before the deposit. The consciousness goes before the condition. The identity goes before the evidence. And faith goes before form. Sigh. I speak before I see. I trust before I touch. I give thanks before the manifestation. I act when divine guidance moves me. I rest because God is my source. My word is creative, my faith is steady, and my good appears under grace. This is the beginning of mastery. Not shouting, not struggling, not forcing, but speaking from the still place where you already know. Divine supply is here. Divine order is working. The way is made clear. Now we come to the foundation beneath every visible form of wealth. The spiritual law of the word. The word is not merely language. It is legislation. It is not merely sound. It is structure. It is not merely a positive thought dressed in pleasant speech. It is spiritual instruction given to the invisible substance of life. When you speak from fear, you instruct chaos. When you speak from complaint, you instruct delay. When you speak from resentment, you instruct resistance. But when you speak from faith, you instruct order. When you speak from divine identity, you instruct supply. When you speak from calm authority, you instruct the universe to align with the highest law available to you. This is why your mouth must not be casual. Your voice is not harmless. Your sentence is not neutral. Every word is moving toward something. Every phrase is either building or dissolving. Every declaration is either opening a channel or closing one. Many people think words are simply descriptions of what already exists. But spiritual law teaches that words are architects of what is becoming. The careless person says, I am only telling the truth. But often what they call truth is only an appearance repeated until it hardens. They say, I am broke. They say, nothing works. They say, money never stays with me. They say, I am always behind. They say, people like me never get ahead. And then they wonder why life keeps reflecting the old sentence. They think they are reporting reality, but they are reinforcing it. A wise soul learns to speak not what the temporary world is shouting, but what divine intelligence is revealing. You may see confusion, but you speak divine order. You may see delay, but you speak perfect timing. You may see lack, but you speak supply. You may see an unpaid bill, but you speak completion. You may see an empty calendar, but you speak divine appointments. You may see a closed road, but you speak the open way. This is not ignorance. This is spiritual authority. To speak from law means you do not allow the lower evidence to write the higher command. You acknowledge the appearance without surrendering to it. You say, yes, this is what appears now, but this is not the final word. The final word belongs to God, and I now speak in agreement with divine truth. The word that returns full is the word sent with purpose. It is not panic. It is not sarcasm. It is not half-belief. It is not a phrase spoken in the morning and contradicted all day. It is the word issued like a royal decree from a consciousness seated in faith. And that word carries instruction. It tells substance where to move. It tells confusion to become order. It tells delay to become timing. It tells lack to become supply. It tells the closed door to reveal the divine door. It tells the wandering opportunity to find its appointed address. This is what I call the spiritual physics of wealth, not because wealth is material alone, but because all material form has a spiritual foundation. The outer world is the visible edge of invisible law. Before the flower appears, there is a seed. Before the house appears, there is a blueprint. Before the melody is heard, there is an inner music. Before wealth appears in form, there is consciousness. And the clearest instrument of consciousness is the spoken word. So, stop treating your word as a hope. Treat it as a command. Stop treating your affirmation as a wish. Treat it as a divine instruction. Stop speaking like a servant describing the economy. Speak like a steward of God's storehouse, commanding substance into right expression. Sigh. Every channel is open. Every bill is met. Every dollar needed is already dispatched in spirit and appearing in form. Every right idea comes to me at the right time. Every appointed person finds me. Every good thing that belongs to me by divine right now comes under grace, in perfect ways. Do not say it with pressure. Say it with poise. The law does not require strain. It requires alignment. A desperate word is full of noise. A faithful word is full of power. When you speak from faith, you do not need to shout at heaven. You need only agree with it. And once agreement is established, peace begins. Peace is a sign that your word has entered the deeper place. When the soul believes the word, it stops wrestling. When the heart receives the word, it stops begging. When the subconscious accepts the word, it begins to expect good as natural. And when expectation changes, the outer world begins to find new pathways. So let this be your practice. Before you speak any sentence of lack, pause. Before you joke about being broke, pause. Before you complain about money, pause. Before you tell the old story one more time, pause. Ask yourself, do I want this multiplied? Do I want this repeated? Do I want this sentence to become a pattern? Do I want this phrase to instruct my future? If not, bless it and release it. Then speak the higher word. Instead of, I cannot afford it, say, divine supply provides the right thing at the right time. Instead of, nothing is working, say, divine order is working beneath the surface. Instead of, I am behind, say, I am in perfect timing, and my good cannot pass me by. Instead of, I do not know what to do, say, I am guided by divine intelligence, and the next right step is revealed. Instead of, money is hard, say, money flows through divine channels with ease, wisdom, and blessing. These are not empty substitutions. They are new instructions. Every higher sentence interrupts the old pattern. Every faithful declaration weakens the old fear. Every repeated word of truth re-educates the subconscious. And the subconscious, like fertile soil, accepts the seed planted with repetition, feeling, and authority. So plant wisely, water with gratitude, protect with silence. Do not dig up your seed every hour to see whether it is growing. The farmer does not plant corn in the morning and accuse the field by afternoon. He trusts the law of growth. So must you trust the law of the word. Speak it, bless it, give thanks, take the guided action, and let divine timing do its perfect work. Sigh. My word is law when it is aligned with divine truth. My word is wealth when it is filled with faith. My word opens the treasury of God's good. I speak what is true in spirit, and it becomes visible in perfect form. I legislate prosperity with my decree. My wealth begins, accelerates, and multiplies at the sound of my faithful word. My word returns with abundance, and I give thanks now. This is the daily work, not to force, not to chase, not to manipulate, but to become so aligned with divine substance that your thoughts, words, feelings, actions, and expectations all move in the same holy direction. There is no lack in God. There is no confusion in divine intelligence. There is no delay in divine order. There is no poverty in the storehouse of spirit. If these things appear in your life, they are not final truths. They are appearances waiting to be corrected by consciousness, word, and right action. Therefore, do not bow. Speak. Do not tremble. Declare. Do not repeat the darkness. Call forth the light. Let there be light in my finances. Let there be order in my affairs. Let there be wisdom in my choices. Let there be gratitude in my heart. Let there be generosity in my hands. Let there be divine increase in my work. Let there be peace in my home. Let there be overflow through every appointed channel. And let it all come under grace in perfect ways. There is a sacred discipline that separates those who speak the word occasionally from those who live by the word continually. It is the discipline of daily decree. For one declaration made in panic will not transform a life that is still governed by daily fear. One affirmation spoken at sunrise cannot bear its full harvest if the rest of the day is spent complaining, doubting, resisting, and rehearsing the old identity. The word must become a rhythm. The word must become a holy atmosphere. The word must become a law you return to again and again until your whole inner world begins to answer in the language of faith. There was a season when I chose a simple decree and gave myself to it completely, not as a game, not as a test, not as a technique to see whether heaven would perform on command, but as a return to divine order. I spoke, God is my unfailing supply. Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. I spoke it in the morning. I spoke it when worry tried to rise. I spoke it when the outer picture looked silent. I spoke it when no new evidence appeared. I spoke it when an old bill came. I spoke it when a door closed. I spoke it when I felt tempted to explain to everyone why things looked difficult. I spoke it not to convince God, but to align myself with what God already knew. That supply is not delayed. That divine substance is not blocked. That the source is never empty. That the channels are many. That the way is not dependent on my fear. That money is not random when consciousness is aligned with divine order. For 90 days, I did not ask how. I did not argue with appearances. I did not keep digging up the seed. I spoke the word. I gave thanks. I listened for guidance. I took the next right action. And slowly, the inner climate changed. My mind stopped running in circles. My heart stopped gripping the future. My old anxiety lost some of its authority. The atmosphere of lack began to lift like mist in the morning light. And then, as always happens when the inner atmosphere is changed, the outer world began to answer. An unexpected refund appeared. A person I had not heard from in a long time returned with an opportunity. A payment came through a channel I had forgotten. A bill that had looked heavy was resolved in a way I could not have planned. A door opened without force. A conversation became a blessing. An idea came with such clarity that I knew it was not merely mental. It was divine instruction. And I understood something with quiet awe. The good was not newly created by my anxiety. It had been waiting for the atmosphere of permission. And that atmosphere was created by the spoken word. Fear says, where is it? Faith says, it is forming now. Fear says, what if nothing happens? Faith says, divine law is working beneath the surface. Fear says, it is taking too long. Faith says, perfect timing is never late. Fear says, this cannot come through. Faith says, God has infinite channels. The law does not ask how you feel. It asks what you are speaking. This does not mean your feelings are wrong. Feelings are part of being human. They ask for compassion, not condemnation. But feelings must not be given the throne. A feeling may visit. It must not govern. Fear may knock. It must not move in. Doubt may whisper. It must not write your decree. So speak when you feel rich. Speak when you feel poor. Speak when you feel steady. Speak when you feel uncertain. Speak when nothing has changed. Speak when everything begins to change. Speak until the word becomes more real to you than the appearance. Speak until gratitude rises naturally. Speak until your body begins to soften because it no longer believes it must carry the burden alone. Speak until your imagination no longer rehearses failure but begins to expect divine solutions. Sigh. God is my unfailing supply. Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. My good cannot be withheld. Every channel appointed by God is open now. Divine intelligence guides my steps. I receive the right idea, the right person, the right opportunity, and the right action. All things are now working together for my good. This is not a spell of desperation. It is a spiritual covenant. It is the discipline of choosing divine truth over temporary appearance. It is the cleansing of the old vocabulary. It is the re-education of the heart. It is the quiet training of the soul for abundance. And if you choose to practice this for 21 days, 30 days, 90 days, do not practice it as superstition. Practice it as spiritual order. Do not repeat the words while secretly worshiping fear. Do not speak the affirmation and then spend the day asking, "But where is it?" Do not declare supply and then make a temple of the problem. Speak, think, listen, move, rest. This is the rhythm. Speak the word. Thank God for the answer. Listen for guidance. Move when the step is clear. Rest in divine timing. And guard your tongue while the seed grows. For the seed is delicate at first. A new word planted in old soil must be protected. If you speak faith in the morning, do not cancel it at night. If you declare abundance in prayer, do not gossip about lack at lunch. If you say, "God is my source," do not then say, "I have no way." If you say, "The door is open," do not then tell everyone, "Nothing ever opens for me." Let your sentence be single. Let your speech have one direction. Let your words cooperate with your prayers. Let your conversations agree with your declarations. Let your inner whisper match your outer decree. This is integrity of the word. This is where power gathers. When thought, speech, feeling, and action come into alignment, you become a clear channel. And divine supply flows most easily through a clear channel. Say now, "I do not cancel my good with fear. I do not uproot my seed with doubt. I do not contradict my decree. My mouth is a holy instrument. My words are clean, faithful, and strong. I speak the word and let divine order fulfill it." The sentence you speak becomes the atmosphere you live in. The atmosphere you live in becomes the expectation you carry. The expectation you carry becomes the action you take. The action you take becomes the form your life assumes. So begin with the sentence. Begin with the word. Begin with the spoken alignment. God is my unfailing supply. Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. Say it with peace. Say it with gratitude. Say it with trust. And let the word carry you across the threshold. Now let us speak of the morning, because every morning is a gate. No day is neutral. Every sunrise waits for instruction. Every hour has ears. Every new day stands at the edge of becoming and asks, "What shall I become for you?" And if you do not answer from spirit, the world will answer for you. It will answer with news. It will answer with noise. It will answer with old fear. It will answer with yesterday's disappointment. It will answer with the phone, the inbox, the bank balance, the calendar, the unfinished task, the unpaid bill, the unreturned message. And before you have even placed your feet firmly upon the floor, the day will have been named by circumstance instead of by God. This is why the first word matters. The first word of the morning is not small. It is the seed of the atmosphere. It is the opening command. It is the tone that begins to arrange your consciousness. If your first word is complaint, you invite the day to prove complaint. If your first word is anxiety, you invite the day to echo anxiety. If your first word is lack, you invite the day to organize around insufficiency. But if your first word is faith, the day begins under a higher government. If your first word is gratitude, the day opens its hidden gifts. If your first word is divine order, confusion loses its authority. If your first word is supply, the channels begin to stir. So do not rise as a victim of the day. Rise as one who consecrates the day. Before coffee, before phone, before email, before calculation, before conversation, before memory has time to bring you yesterday's burdens. Speak, sigh. This is a day of divine provision. I walk in increase. God goes before me and prepares the way. My steps are ordered. My words are blessed. My mind is clear. My heart is steady. My work is fruitful. Every appointment is divinely timed. Every dollar that belongs to me finds me now. Every channel of good is open. I am guided by divine intelligence, and I move through this day under grace in perfect ways. When you speak before the day unfolds, you frame the day. You do not control every detail by human effort, but you place the day under divine order. You invite guidance. You welcome right action. You establish peace before the world offers pressure. You plant the expectation of good before fear can plant its weeds. This is not morning motivation. This is metaphysical mastery. The divine pattern is always word before form. In the beginning, the word came before the light appeared. So in your life, the decree must come before the evidence. The spoken word must precede the seen wealth. The command of faith must go before the visible change. If you begin the day in silence, the world may speak first. If you begin the day in worry, fear may arrange your thoughts. If you begin the day in reaction, circumstances may lead you by the hand. But when you begin the day with divine speech, you take your rightful place. You say to the morning, you will not carry yesterday's fear. You will not repeat the old pattern. You will not be governed by lack. You are a day of divine opportunity. You are a day of right action. You are a day of supply, wisdom, order, and peace. The day listens. Your subconscious listens. Your body listens. Your imagination listens. And the invisible substance of life begins to answer the instruction. Let your first breath be consecrated. Let your first sound be a blessing. Let your first thought be turned toward the source. Place your hand upon your heart and say, I am safe in divine order. I am supplied by infinite good. I am guided to right action. I receive what is mine by divine right. I bless this day, and this day blesses me. Then rise. Move through the morning as one who has already spoken with heaven. When a difficulty appears, do not let it rename the day. If a bill appears, say, this too is under divine order. If a delay appears, say, perfect timing is working now. If a person disappoints you, say, no human being can block what God has appointed. If fear rises, say, fear has no authority here. If confusion speaks, say, divine intelligence now reveals the perfect way. This is how you reign over a day. Not by tension, not by control, not by forcing everything to match your plan, but by returning again and again to the Word. A spiritually trained person does not allow the outer world to have the last word. A spiritually trained person answers appearances with truth. So make your morning decree a sacred habit. Write it somewhere you can see it. Place it beside your bed. Speak it aloud before touching your phone. Record it and play it softly while you prepare for the day. Walk with it. Breathe with it. Let it become the music of your inner world. Sigh. This day opens with favor. I receive divine instruction. Every appointment is divinely timed. Every dollar that belongs to me finds me now. My words call forth the unseen. My voice opens gates. I am met with increase and overflow before the sun sets. Say it not as pressure, but as praise. Say it not as fear, but as faith. Say it not to force the day, but to bless the day. Because the morning is the womb of the day, and the one who speaks first often governs what is born. If fear speaks first, fear gives birth. If lack speaks first, lack gives birth. If resentment speaks first, resentment gives birth. But if divine order speaks first, peace is born. If supply speaks first, channels are born. If gratitude speaks first, multiplication begins. If faith speaks first, the day becomes a field where miracles may appear. Therefore, decree before you do. Speak before you step. Bless before you calculate. Give thanks before the evidence. Call forth divine order before the world can call forth fear. And you will find that the day is not your burden. It becomes your servant. It begins to cooperate with the word you have spoken. It begins to reveal helpers, ideas, openings, solutions, and unexpected grace. The day will still ask for your action, but your action will no longer be frantic. It will be guided. It will be timely. It will carry peace. It will come from the inner place that knows, I am not alone. I am not unsupported. I am not late. I am not outside the good of God. I am moving in divine order now. Speak it so. Walk it so. Receive it so. Now, there comes a moment in every spiritual journey when fear attempts to reclaim the throne. It often comes after the decree. It often comes after the prayer. It often comes after the morning word has been spoken with strength. Fear waits until the appearance contradicts the declaration. The bill arrives. The phone remains silent. The payment is delayed. The door looks closed. The human answer seems uncertain. The deadline comes closer. And suddenly, the old voice says, what if it is not working? This is the moment of mastery. Not when everything looks easy. Not when the bank account applauds you. Not when everyone believes in your vision. Not when all doors are open and the evidence is glowing. The moment of mastery comes when the outer world says lack, and you refuse to agree. Fear is subtle. It often dresses itself as wisdom. It says, be practical. It says, be realistic. It says, do not get your hopes up. It says, prepare for disappointment. It says, you tried this before. It says, maybe it is not your time. But if you listen closely, beneath all these respectable garments, fear is still fear, and fear is never divine guidance. Intuition is calm. Fear is frantic. Intuition is clear. Fear is noisy. Intuition may warn, but it never humiliates. Fear threatens, shames, rushes, and contracts. So do not confuse fear with wisdom. Fear is a reversal word. It attempts to cancel what faith has spoken. It comes to dig up the seed before the harvest can appear. It comes to turn the mouth back to the old law. And you must not allow it. Do not let midnight worry erase morning faith. Do not let the sight of the bill cancel the blessing. Do not let a delay persuade you that God has denied you. Delay is not denial. Silence is not absence. What looks like nothing may be the hidden hour when everything is being arranged. The law does not sleep. The word does not fail. Divine order does not lose its way because the human eye cannot see the road. Your supply may be moving through channels you have never imagined. Your answer may be forming through people you have not yet met. Your opportunity may be taking shape in a room where your name has not yet been spoken aloud, but where spirit has already gone before you. Therefore, when fear speaks, answer it. Do not reason with it for an hour. Do not entertain it at the table of your mind. Do not ask it to explain itself. Fear is not a guest. It is a trespasser. You evict it with the word. Sigh. I cast the burden of fear upon the Christ within, and I go free. I no longer fear not having enough, for I walk with the God who is more than enough. I no longer fear delay, for divine timing is perfect and never late. I no longer fear appearances, for I know the law is working beneath the surface. I cancel nothing with fear. I water every word with faith. I live by divine law, not by passing emotion. This is your holy protocol. Every time fear speaks, answer back with divine truth. If fear says, "What if it does not come?" say, "It already exists in spirit, and the perfect form now appears." If fear says, "You are behind," say, "I am in divine timing, and my supply runs ahead of me." If fear says, "There is not enough," say, "My source is infinite, and I live in overflow." If fear says, "You have failed before," say, "The past has no authority over divine order now." If fear says, "No one will help you," say, "God's appointed helpers now appear, and every right channel is open." If fear says, "The way is closed," say, "The way of God cannot be closed. The divine path is clear before me." Speak louder than fear, not louder in volume, but louder in authority. A calm word of truth carries more power than 1,000 cries of panic. When the storm came, the master did not negotiate with the sea. He spoke peace, and peace was established. So when the storm rises in your finances, do not describe every wave. Speak to the sea. Sigh, "Peace, be still." Divine order is established here. Supply is present. The right solution appears. This need is met under grace. When the fig tree of your finances appears barren, do not spend all day explaining the barrenness. Speak life. Sigh, "My good is fruitful now. My work bears divine increase. My hands are blessed. My ideas are prosperous. My service is valued. My income expands in right and perfect ways." When the table appears empty, do not mourn the absence. Bless the table. Sigh, "God prepares a table before me. I am nourished, supplied, and sustained. My cup runs over. I receive with gratitude, and I give with joy." The law does not require that you feel fearless before you speak. It requires that you speak truth, even when fear is present. The greatest words are often spoken while the knees tremble. The miracle is not that fear never visits. The miracle is that fear no longer governs. So speak when your heart feels steady. Speak when your heart feels shaken. Speak when your voice is strong. Speak when your voice is soft. Speak when all you can do is whisper the truth. A whispered word of faith is still a seed, and if it is repeated, protected, and believed, it will grow. Sigh, "I no longer speak from emotion. I speak from eternal law. I no longer wait to feel it. I command it in faith. I no longer report the appearance. I declare the truth. My tongue is not swayed by shadows. My word is established, and divine order confirms it." This is your identity. This is your power. This is the discipline of the word. You are not here to fear. You are here to form. You are not here to tremble. You are here to govern your inner world. You are not here to repeat lack. You are here to decree abundance. And every time fear tries to pull you back into the old system, remember, you already spoke it into law, and divine law does not bow to fear. Now let me show you what happens when the word becomes the only anchor. Not a phrase repeated casually. Not a pleasant affirmation whispered with crossed fingers. Not a sentence spoken for 2 days and abandoned when the evidence delays. But a word that becomes the government of your world. There was a woman who faced what the outer world would call an impossible need. Her rent was due. The deadline was near. No paycheck was visible. No client had promised anything. No familiar channel seemed open. Every appearance said, "Panic." Every number said, "Worry." Every human calculation said, "There is no way." But she had learned the law. She had learned that supply is not confined to the visible channel. She had learned that money is not the source. She had learned that the spoken word, aligned with faith, opens the path for divine substance to take form. So when fear tempted her to call friends and narrate the lack, she refused. When anxiety wanted her to repeat, "I do not know how I will pay this," she refused. When the old habit wanted her to stare at the bill and tremble, she chose another way. She spoke to the need. She said, This is God's rent, not mine. Divine substance pays every obligation in perfect ways. I cannot be separated from my supply. She did not say this once. She did not say it as a little experiment. She said it morning and night. She said it whenever fear returned. She said it when the clock moved forward and the outer answer had not yet appeared. She said it on the 9th day when the mind would have said, "It is too late." She said it with calm authority, not loud panic, not desperate bargaining, but the firm and peaceful word of one who had chosen the law above the appearance. And on the 10th day, when those who worship appearances would have called it too late, a check arrived from a forgotten source, unexpected, unsolicited, perfectly timed, enough to meet the rent exactly. Now the world may call this coincidence, but the spiritually awakened soul recognizes the pattern. It was the word fulfilling itself. It was divine substance moving through an appointed channel. It was the law responding to authority. It was the outer form obeying the inner decree. The rent was not the master. The calendar was not the master. The amount was not the master. The appearance was not the master. The word, spoken in faith, held the higher authority. And this is the lesson. Do not speak about the bill as though it is a tyrant. Speak to the bill as though it is a servant of divine order. A bill is not your judge. A due date is not your God. An invoice is not the measure of your worth. A financial demand is not evidence that you are forsaken. It is an invitation to command. It is an opportunity to exercise spiritual royalty. It is a stage upon which the word may perform. Do not say, "This bill is killing me." Do not say, "I will never get ahead." Do not say, "I cannot handle this." Do not say, "Money is always leaving me." Do not say, "There is never enough." Those are instructions, and you do not want them multiplied. Instead, lay your hand upon the bill, the statement, the invoice, the payment notice, or the number on the screen, and bless it. Sigh. You are already paid in divine order. I thank divine substance that this obligation is fulfilled in perfect ways. My supply meets this need before the deadline. I walk in ease, order, and provision. This is not a burden. This is an opportunity for divine supply to reveal itself. God is never late. My good is already on the way. Speak to the bill. Do not tremble before it. Do not worship it. Do not let it define your day. Do not carry it into every conversation like a stone around your neck. Bless it. Command divine order over it. Give thanks that the right channel is open. Then listen for the right action. Sometimes the action will be to make a call. Sometimes it will be to send an invoice. Sometimes it will be to create an offer. Sometimes it will be to ask wisely. Sometimes it will be to organize what has been neglected. Sometimes it will be to forgive yourself for fear and return to peace. Sometimes it will be to wait without panic while the appointed channel forms. But whatever the action is, let it arise from guidance, not terror. Money is not moved by worry. It is moved by word, consciousness, and right action. Worry scatters energy. The word gathers it. Panic closes perception. Faith opens it. Complaint multiplies the problem. Gratitude opens the channel. So when you look at any financial appearance, train yourself to speak blessing first. Sigh, "Thank you, God, that this is paid before it is due. Thank you, God, that this is covered without strain. Thank you, God, that I am not under this. I am over this. I do not serve the bill. The bill serves divine order. My word creates the atmosphere for its resolution. Then do not contradict yourself. Do not bless the bill in one breath and curse it in the next. Do not declare it paid in the morning and call it impossible in the afternoon. Do not say, 'God provides,' then tell someone, 'I have no way.' Speak one law. Hold one consciousness. Let your yes be yes. Let your decree remain pure. This is spiritual consistency, and consistency is power. The woman with the rent did not have more God than you. She did not have a private heaven. She did not have special permission. She had a word. She believed the word more than the deadline. She gave the need to God. She spoke divine order over it. She refused to cancel the decree. And the answer came. So I ask you now, what is the rent in your life? What is the bill? What is the need? What is the appearance that has been standing before you like a giant? What have you been saying about it? Have you been narrating fear? Have you been repeating the size of the problem? Have you been describing the lack as though description were loyalty to truth? Or will you now speak from the throne? Sigh, this need is met now under grace, in perfect ways. This bill is paid in divine order. This obligation is fulfilled by divine substance. God is my source, and the channels are open. I am not afraid of numbers. I am not ruled by deadlines. I am guided, supplied, and sustained. All that is mine by divine right now appears. Speak it calmly. Speak it daily. Speak it whenever fear tries to return. Speak until the bill becomes a testimony. Speak until the appearance bows to the word. Speak until you know, beyond the shifting moods of the outer world, that supply is not a paycheck. Supply is a presence. Now we must speak of a hidden danger. Not the danger of poverty itself, but the danger of contradiction. For many people speak powerfully in the morning and betray their own decree by night. They say, I am wealthy. Then they whisper, why is nothing working? They say, money flows to me freely. Then they complain about every price, every delay, every expense, every unexpected cost. They say, God is my supply. Then they sigh, I have no way. They plant the seed and dig it up. They open the door and close it. They send the word forward and call it back. This is why inner alignment is essential. The spiritual court does not operate by excitement. It operates by agreement. Your outer word, inner thought, emotional atmosphere, and daily conversation must begin to move in one direction. You cannot declare wealth and rehearse poverty. You cannot speak supply and worship lack. You cannot bless your future and curse your present. You cannot ask for divine order while clinging to the old identity of chaos. This is not said to condemn you. It is said to free you, because the moment you see the contradiction, you can correct it. The moment you hear the old sentence, you can replace it. The moment you catch the fear, you can speak the word. Every time you are tempted to say, it is not working, say instead, it is working beneath the surface. Every time you want to ask, where is it? Say, it is on the way now, and nothing can stop divine order. Every time doubt rises, say, my word is aligned with divine law, and the law cannot fail. Every time someone speaks fear into your faith, do not argue. Simply answer with truth. I do not walk by appearances. I walk by divine guidance. Every time your mind begins to chatter with contradiction, speak a clearer word. Not to fight the mind, but to re-educate it. Not to shame yourself, but to return to alignment. This is the discipline of the spiritually wealthy. This is the mastery of the spoken millionaire. This is the practice of divine wealth embodiment. Your voice must become one with your vision. Your declaration must become one with your inner knowing. Your sentence must not be double-sided. Let no phrase escape your lips that you do not want multiplied. Let no private whisper live in your heart that you do not want echoed in your world. Let no joke about lack pass through your mouth as though the law does not hear humor. The law hears everything. It does not say, this one was only sarcasm. It does not say, this one was only casual. It receives the impression you give it. So cleanse your vocabulary. Remove the phrases that keep poverty alive. Remove the little jokes that make lack seem normal. Remove the dramatic statements that make fear feel powerful. Remove the old identity words. Stop saying, I am always broke. I am bad with money. I never get ahead. Everything is too expensive. Nothing works for me. I am unlucky. I am behind. I cannot. Replace them with words of divine authority. I am wise with money. I am guided in every financial decision. I am always supplied. I receive, circulate, and multiply good. I am in divine timing. Everything needed comes through perfect channels. My work is blessed. My income expands. My obligations are met. My good appears under grace. This is purity of speech, not perfection, but purity. A pure tongue is one that returns quickly to truth. A pure intention is one that wants alignment more than drama. A pure expectation is one that refuses to flirt with fear in the name of being realistic. The world may applaud self-deprecating humor. It may laugh when you diminish yourself. It may call you relatable when you speak scarcity. But divine law is not moved by social approval. It is moved by spiritual alignment. Therefore, speak with reverence. Speak with sobriety. Speak with joy. Speak as one who knows the tongue is holy ground. For your words do not shape money alone. They shape atmosphere. They shape identity. They shape legacy. They shape the emotional climate of your home. They shape what your children hear. They shape what your body believes. They shape what your subconscious expects. They shape what opportunities feel natural to you. So speak only what you are willing to live in. Speak only what you are willing to see multiplied. Speak only what you are willing to leave as an inheritance. This is not mere positivity. This is spiritual jurisdiction. The tongue is the gatekeeper. The word is the command. The subconscious is the soil. The outer world is the harvest. So guard the gate, speak the word, plant the seed, expect the harvest. Sigh, I am rich. I am supplied. I am the living decree of divine abundance. I speak no other law. I do not contradict my good. I do not cancel my harvest. I do not make lack entertaining. I do not make fear familiar. I do not give poverty a voice in my temple. My mouth is consecrated to faith, abundance, right action, and divine order. Let this become your vow, not rigid, not fearful, not tense, but sacred. The wealthy consciousness is not careless with language. It knows that every word is a messenger, and it sends only the messengers it wants to receive again. Now we come to the root of it all, identity. Who you say you are determines what the world is permitted to bring you. Identity is not passive. It is not merely inherited. It is not handed to you by history, family, education, economy, past failure, or human opinion. Identity is declared. It is chosen. It is accepted in consciousness. It is spoken through the great creative words, I am. If your mouth does not know who you are, your life will remain confused. If your speech calls you small, the world will treat you as small. If your words call you forgotten, you will overlook the signs of remembrance. If your sentence calls you poor, your consciousness will keep searching for evidence of poverty. But when you say, I am supplied, something begins to stand upright within you. When you say, I am guided, your intuition sharpens. When you say, I am wealthy by divine right, you no longer move through the world as one begging for permission. You begin to move as one who belongs to the storehouse of God. This is not ego. This is not arrogance. This is not boastfulness. This is agreement with divine identity. False humility says, I must not speak too boldly. But true humility says, I will not deny what God has placed within me. False humility calls lack holiness. True humility receives supply with gratitude and uses it rightly. False humility says, who am I to be abundant? True humility says, I am a channel of God's good, and I receive in order to bless, serve, create, give, and fulfill my divine assignment. Do not be deceived by the spirituality of smallness. Poverty is not proof of purity. Struggle is not proof of virtue. Worry is not proof of responsibility. Fear is not proof of wisdom. You can be abundant and humble. You can be wealthy and generous. You can be prosperous and spiritually awake. You can receive richly and remain devoted to God. The issue is not whether money appears. The issue is whether money becomes your master. When God is your source, money is only a servant. When divine order governs you, wealth becomes circulation. When gratitude fills you, abundance becomes blessing. When your identity is rooted in spirit, Prosperity does not corrupt you. It expresses through you. So say, I am wealth in action. I am abundance walking. I am divine supply in expression. I am a trusted steward of God's good. I am the vessel through which divine substance blesses the world. Say it when you rise. Say it when you rest. Say it in the mirror. Say it when no one is listening. Say it when doubt tries to creep in. Say it when the old identity knocks on the door and says, remember me? You answer, I remember who I was, but I no longer live there. I am a new decree now. I am a new consciousness now. I am governed by divine order now. Say it not to impress others. Say it to command your own reality. Because spoken identity is the throne from which manifestation is ruled. If you speak as a beggar, life will keep handing you scraps. If you speak as a victim, life will keep finding ways to confirm the story. If you speak as an outsider, doors may seem distant. But if you speak as an heir, your posture changes. Your expectation changes. Your decisions change. Your actions change. Your tolerance changes. You no longer accept the old pattern as final. You no longer apologize for divine increase. You no longer shrink to make others comfortable with their fear. You stand in quiet dignity and say, I am who God says I am. I lack nothing in spirit. I am supplied now. I am guided now. I am favored now. I am prepared now. I am ready now. I receive what is mine by divine right. This identity becomes the foundation, the frame, the furnace in which your fortune is formed. Once you truly inhabit the word, once it becomes your tone, your rhythm, your inner truth, the outer world begins to recognize you differently. Not because you have become someone else, but because you have stopped denying who you were in spirit all along. Sigh, I am the wealth of God in human form. I am the overflow of divine good on earth. I am the voice that prosperity recognizes. I am the identity that abundance obeys. I am supplied, supported, guided, and blessed. I am one with infinite good, and all that belongs to me by divine right now comes under grace in perfect ways. Let these words enter deeply. Do not rush them. Let them settle into the hidden places where old fear has lived. Let them touch the memories of rejection. Let them correct the old shame. Let them wash the mind clean of every label the world placed upon you. You are not your past. You are not your debt. You are not your delay. You are not your family's fear. You are not your former failure. You are not the closed door. You are not the opinion of those who could not see your divine appointment. You are the living expression of God's good. Speak accordingly. Walk accordingly. Choose accordingly. Receive accordingly. There was an artist who understood this law. By appearance, she was not wealthy. By human standard, she was not connected. She did not have the powerful network that the world worships. She was not known in the great rooms. She had no guarantee that her work would be seen, purchased, or supported. But she had vision. And more than vision, she had a word. She looked at her blank canvases and did not call them evidence of lack. She called them invitations. She did not say, no one is buying. She did not say, the market is impossible. She did not say, artists always struggle. She did not say, I need someone to rescue me. She turned away from the old vocabulary and spoke a new decree. My divine patron appears now. She said it every morning. She said it before the sun rose. She said it not as a question, but as a command. Not as pleading, but as positioning. Not as longing, but as law. My divine patron appears now. She did not know the name. She did not know the channel. She did not know whether the answer would come through a person, a gallery, a message, a forgotten contact, an online discovery, or a path she had never imagined. And that was her freedom. She did not chain her supply to one expected form. She let God choose the channel. She simply spoke the law. For 12 days, she guarded the word. When doubt asked, but who will buy? She answered, my divine patron appears now. When fear asked, what if no one sees your work? She answered, My work is seen by the right eyes at the right time. When the old story whispered, "Artists must suffer," she answered, "I create under grace, and my gift is divinely supported." And then the channel opened. A message came, not a vague compliment, not an empty praise, not a polite encouragement, a true opening. Someone had been watching her work quietly and now wished to support her next series. The provision was not merely for one painting. It was for time, for space, for materials, for rest, for a year of creation without begging the system for permission. This was not luck. This was not random. This was the word finding its form. It was not her anxiety that summoned the patron. It was not her desperation. It was not her exhaustion. It was not her complaint. It was her spoken alignment. Her talent was the instrument. Her word opened the channel. Her faith prepared the atmosphere. Her identity allowed her to receive. And this story is not a rare exception. It is a pattern. Your divine buyer appears. Your divine client appears. Your divine employer appears. Your divine partner appears. Your divine investor appears. Your divine patron appears. Your divine opportunity appears. Your divine idea appears. Your divine opening appears. But you must stop speaking as though no one is coming. You must stop saying the market is closed. You must stop saying nobody wants what you offer. You must stop saying the world is too crowded. You must stop saying the door belongs only to others. Speak the word. My divine patron appears now. My divine client appears now. My divine audience appears now. My divine opportunity appears now. My divine channel appears now. The right people find me under grace, in perfect ways. My work is blessed, valued, seen, supported, and richly compensated. Say it as an artist. Say it as a creator. Say it as a business owner. Say it as a teacher. Say it as a worker. Say it as one who has a gift and refuses to bury it under fear. God does not give gifts to be hidden under scarcity. Divine talent seeks divine circulation. Your work is not meant to beg. It is meant to bless, and when it blesses rightly, it is supported rightly. So let your decree match the dignity of your gift. Do not speak small over what God has placed within you. Do not insult your work by calling it impossible. Do not dismiss your calling by saying, "There is no way." Sigh. The way is open. The right people are drawn to my work. My gift is divinely appointed and divinely supported. I create from spirit. I receive from spirit. I circulate good through my work. I am generously compensated for the value I bring. Every divine patron, client, buyer, and supporter now appears. Then act accordingly. Prepare the work. Share the work. Send the message. Open the page. Answer the call. Clean the studio. Organize the offer. Let divine guidance direct your practical steps. The word does not replace the brush in the artist's hand. It blesses the brush. The word does not replace the work. It anoints the work. The word does not replace the path. It opens the path. So speak, create, listen, move, receive, and watch what breaks open when the gift and the decree finally agree. Now it is time to build a sacred rhythm. For manifestation is not an emergency practice. It is not something you do only when fear becomes unbearable. It is not something you remember only when the bill is due, the rent is late, the account is low, or the door is closing. Spiritual mastery is rhythm. It is daily alignment. It is a holy cadence of thought, word, gratitude, and right action. The law responds not to panic, but to consistency. So I give you a simple practice. 3 lines, 3 times a day, for 21 days. Not as superstition, not as a trick, not as a bargain with heaven, but as sacred structure. In the morning, before the world names you. At midday, before the day scatters you. At night, before sleep receives your subconscious. Sigh. I am a multi-millionaire by divine law. Money flows to me freely, richly, and under grace. All doors are open, All channels are free. Speak the first line slowly. I am a multimillionaire by divine law. When you say this, do not make it about ego. Make it about identity. You are not trying to impress the world. You are aligning with divine substance. You are not saying, money is your God. You are saying God is your source, and abundance is one form of divine expression. You are not forcing a result. You are accepting a truth in spirit. Speak the second line. Money flows to me freely, richly, and under grace. When you say this, you break the lie that money is rare. You break the old idea that supply must be chased like a frightened animal. You stop treating money as a hostile power and begin treating it as circulation. Money is motion. Motion follows direction. Direction is given by consciousness and word. So if you have spoken dryness, speak rivers now. If you have spoken blockage, speak flow. If you have spoken fear, speak grace. Speak the third line. All doors are open. All channels are free. This line untangles supply from human logic. It reminds you that your good is not trapped in one job, one person, one bank, one plan, one platform, one client, or one opportunity. God has infinite channels. A dream can become a channel. A conversation can become a channel. A forgotten contact can become a channel. A new idea can become a channel. A refund can become a channel. A gift can become a channel. A sale can become a channel. A sudden invitation can become a channel. A closed door can become the channel that redirects you to the open one. So say, all doors are open, all channels are free. Say the three lines together. Morning, midday, night. I am a multimillionaire by divine law. Money flows to me freely, richly, and under grace. All doors are open. All channels are free. Then protect them. Do not contradict them with sarcasm. Do not mock your own decree. Do not say them like law and then speak lack like entertainment. Do not say, all doors are open, and then spend the day declaring nothing is working. Do not say, money flows, and then complain that money never stays. Do not say, I am a multimillionaire by divine law, and then carry yourself like one who expects rejection. The practice is not merely repetition. It is reorientation. You are turning the whole inner being toward divine abundance. You are training the subconscious to accept wealth as natural. You are teaching your imagination to expect open channels. You are instructing your body to relax into supply instead of contracting into fear. You are building a new atmosphere, and atmosphere matters. A person who lives in an atmosphere of lack cannot easily recognize abundance when it knocks. They will distrust it, delay it, question it, push it away, call it too good to be true. But a person who has cultivated an atmosphere of divine supply can recognize good when it appears and receive it without apology. So speak these lines for 21 days. Write them, record them, walk with them, pray them, breathe them. Let them become the rhythm beneath your work, your rest, your decisions, and your conversations. And as you speak, listen, because divine supply often arrives first as guidance. A new thought, a sudden nudge, a name remembered, a call to make, a project to complete, a skill to offer, a price to raise, a boundary to set, a debt to organize, a gift to receive, a habit to release. The word opens the way. Guidance shows the step. Right action completes the circuit. Therefore, do not only speak and sleep. Speak and listen. Speak and move when guided. Speak and give thanks. Speak and prepare. Speak and become available to the good you have called forth. The divine life is not passive. It is receptive, obedient, and active at the right time. Sigh. I am available to my good. I am obedient to divine guidance. I recognize the channels God opens. I take right action without fear. I receive with gratitude. I give with joy. My prosperity is orderly, peaceful, generous, and blessed. This rhythm will change you. And when you change, the world you experience must change. Now listen carefully. because this is where many lose their harvest. They speak the decree, but they do not guard the tongue. They plant the seed, but they joke about drought. They say, I am supplied, then laugh, I am so broke. They say, the way is open, then complain, nothing ever works. They say, I receive abundance, then tell the same old story of struggle to anyone who will listen. And they do not understand why the harvest is delayed. Every joke is still a seed. Every complaint is still a seed. Every dramatic exaggeration is still a seed. Every little phrase carries direction. The law does not ask whether you meant it. It receives the impression. So I say this with love. Stop making lack entertaining. Do not turn poverty into personality. Do not turn financial fear into humor. Do not use scarcity to bond with people. Do not make smallness your social language. Do not say things you would not want multiplied. There is a kind of joking that seems harmless, but it keeps the old identity alive. I am always broke. My wallet is crying. Money hates me. I can never catch a break. I guess I will be poor forever. The room may laugh, but the subconscious listens. The law listens. The body listens. And the old pattern smiles because it has been fed again. Cleanse the language, not with tension, not with fear of making a mistake, but with reverence. Let every phrase pass through the holy question. Do I want this multiplied? If not, do not speak it. Choose a better word. Instead of joking, bless. Instead of complaining, declare. Instead of dramatizing, command. Instead of saying, I am broke, say, I am between visible forms of supply, and divine substance is moving now. Instead of saying, this bill is impossible, say, this obligation is met under grace. Instead of saying, nobody is buying, say, my divine buyers are now drawn to me. Instead of saying, there is no way, say, the divine way is already open. Instead of saying, I am unlucky, say, I am guided, protected, and favored by divine order. This is not stiffness. This is sovereignty. The spiritually mature person does not speak every passing mood. They speak what they choose to create. They do not deny emotion, but they do not enthrone it. They do not pretend everything looks easy, but they refuse to make difficulty their law. They may say, this is the appearance, but divine order is greater. They may say, this is the temporary fact, but it is not the final truth. They may say, I feel fear, but I choose faith. That is spiritual honesty, not complaint, not denial, alignment. Speak with sobriety, and joy will follow. Speak with reverence, and riches will respond. Speak with honor, and heaven has a clear channel through which to bless. Now let this truth settle deeply. Wealth does not arrive before the word. The word is the pioneer. The word is the trumpet. The word is the first footstep on the unseen road. The word clears the path before the form appears. This is why you must stop waiting for proof to speak. Proof follows word. Evidence follows consciousness. The harvest follows the seed. No farmer waits for fruit before planting. No builder waits for a house before drawing the plan. No composer waits for the orchestra before hearing the melody within. And you must not wait for wealth before speaking wealth. Speak it now. Speak it in the empty place. Speak it in the uncertain place. Speak it in the place where the old self expects fear. Sigh, I am supplied now. I am wealthy in spirit now. I am guided now. My channels are open now. My good appears now. Divine order is established now. This word will begin to rearrange your inner world. And as the inner world rearranges, your outer choices will change. You will stop chasing out of panic. You will start moving from guidance. You will stop accepting every opportunity as though lack were your employer. You will begin recognizing what is divinely appointed and what is merely fear in disguise. You will stop checking the bank account first and start checking the atmosphere of your words first. You will stop asking, what does the world say? And begin asking, what am I speaking into the world? For your word builds worlds. Your word shapes substance. Your word instructs the invisible. Your word announces your identity. And when you begin to speak from I am, not as a hopeful beggar, but as a divine ambassador, supply begins to stir. Provision begins to seek you out. Opportunities begin to find your address, not because you forced them, not because you manipulated life, but because your word went before you and called your good by name. Sigh, I call my wealth by name. I call my opportunity by name. I call my divine helpers by name. I call my right work by name. I call my increase by name. I call my peace by name. All that belongs to me by divine right recognizes my voice and comes now under grace. This is revelation. You are not becoming wealthy. You are already wealthy in spirit. Your word is the bridge. Your faith is the atmosphere. Your action is the pathway. Your gratitude is the multiplier. And your identity is the key. Now it is time to stop circling the mountain of theory and step into practice. You were not meant to be only a listener of the word. You were meant to become a speaker of the word. You were not meant to admire spiritual law from a distance. You were meant to use it with reverence. You were not meant to watch others speak abundance while you rehearse lack. You were meant to take your own mouth back from fear and place it in the service of divine order. So I ask you now to write your own decree, not a borrowed sentence only, not a copied line spoken without feeling, but your decree, a clear, powerful, faithful statement of who you are, what you receive, and how divine order works in your life. Begin with identity. Sigh, I am the steward of divine wealth. I am the circulation point of supernatural prosperity. I am a trusted channel of abundance. I am guided by divine intelligence. I am a multimillionaire, not by striving, not by begging, not by fear, but by divine law. Then speak your supply. Sigh, God is my unfailing source. Money comes to me through perfect channels. My work is blessed and richly compensated. My gifts are seen, valued, and supported. My obligations are met with ease. My income expands in orderly and peaceful ways. Then speak your action. Sigh, I am guided to the right ideas. I take the right steps. I recognize the right doors. I meet the right people. I move with courage, clarity, and grace. Then speak your protection. Sigh, I do not cancel my good with fear. I do not contradict my decree. I do not speak lack over my life. I guard my words as sacred seed. My faith is steady. My gratitude is constant. My way is open. Then speak your receiving. Sigh, I receive my good now. I receive under grace. I receive in perfect ways. I receive with humility and joy. I receive in order to bless, serve, give, create, and fulfill my divine assignment. Now put it together. Let it become your mantle. I am the steward of divine wealth. God is my unfailing source. Money comes to me through perfect channels, under grace, in perfect ways. My work is blessed. My gifts are valued. My obligations are met. And my income expands in divine order. I am guided to right action. I recognize right opportunities. I meet appointed people. I do not cancel my good with fear. I speak only the word of faith, abundance, and right action. I receive my good now with gratitude, humility, and joy. Speak this morning, noon, and night. Speak it before checking your phone. Speak it before opening your email. Speak it before making a payment. Speak it before a meeting. Speak it before creating. Speak it before resting. Speak it when doubt rises. Speak it when nothing appears. Speak it when the evidence begins. Speak it until the atmosphere yields. Speak it until the old pattern weakens. Speak it until the inner world no longer argues. Speak it until you can say, I am supplied without apology. Speak it because your tongue is no longer a slave to circumstance. It is now the architect of divine order. And when old voices mock you, do not entertain them. When the mind says, who are you to say this? Answer, I am a child of God. I am an heir of divine good. I am one with infinite supply. I am not speaking from ego. I am speaking from divine identity. When the past says, "You have failed before," answer, "The past is not my source." When fear says, "This is impossible," answer, "With God, the way is already made." When the world says, "Be realistic," answer, "Divine law is the highest reality." You are not speaking to impress yourself. You are speaking to align your soul with truth. You are speaking to command the elements of your inner world. You are speaking to override the old history. You are speaking to activate the kingdom within. When you say, "I am," you are not asking. You are establishing. You are not hoping. You are legislating. You are not predicting. You are birthing. And the more you speak, the more the path clears. The more you decree, the more the old patterns break. The more you affirm, the more the invisible bends toward divine order. Not out of pity, not out of accident, but because law responds to aligned speech. So write your decree today. Speak it with fire. Speak it with stillness. Speak it with unwavering identity. Say it before the check comes. Say it before the contract appears. Say it before the client arrives. Say it before the job shifts. Say it before the visible evidence agrees. Say it when you are alone. Say it when you are tired. Say it when you feel nothing. Say it when the old self feels loud. Say it until the atmosphere changes. Say it until your own spirit recognizes your voice. Say it until the world begins to answer. And now, beloved listener, I bring you to the final remembrance. The world speaks probability. You will speak law. The world speaks limitation and dresses it as logic. You will speak divine order and call it truth. The world speaks fear and calls it caution. You will speak faith and call it reality. The world tells you to survive. You will speak as one who is here to create, bless, receive, circulate, and prosper. For the word in your mouth is not a decoration. It is a force. It is not a phrase. It is a seed. It is not a sound disappearing into air. It is an instruction entering the invisible. I spoke it into law, and it obeyed. It did not ask my age. It did not ask my background. It did not ask whether my past was perfect. It did not ask whether my family believed. It did not ask whether every person approved. It did not ask whether the world considered me qualified. It heard the voice of dominion. It heard the word, aligned with divine law, and substance began to move. Because the word spoken in faith is one of the highest governments of life. Nothing in the outer world has final authority over a consciousness established in divine truth. Not the economy, not delay, not opposition, not a closed door, not a human refusal, not an old failure, not fear, not logic, not the past. Nothing can overrule divine order when you stand in agreement with it. This is your time to speak, not for performance, not for empty motivation, not for noise, but for transformation. This is your time to throw off the old garment of probability and step into the radiant robe of certainty. This is your time to become unrecognizable to the old self. This is your time to stop asking lack for permission. This is your time to stop consulting fear before you speak. This is your time to treat your word like a royal decree, a sacred seed, a legal document in the court of spirit. Once spoken in faith, guard it. Do not revoke it. Do not reverse it. Do not dig it up. Do not hand it back to fear. Let your word go before you like light through a dark field. Let it burn away hesitation. Let it open gates no man can shut. Let it summon appointed people, ideas, resources, contracts, provisions, solutions, and divine appointments in perfect timing. Let it establish a new cycle, a new atmosphere, a new spiritual identity, a new relationship with money, a new relationship with work, a new relationship with receiving, a new relationship with God's endless good. You are no longer trying to become rich through fear. You are speaking as one who is already supplied in spirit. You are no longer begging money to save you. You are recognizing God as your source. You are no longer chasing every channel. You are blessing the infinite channels of divine substance. You are no longer using your mouth to describe lack. You are using your mouth to declare divine order. And now I leave you not with advice only, but with a mantle of spoken faith, a mantle of divine identity, a mantle of spiritual prosperity. Wear it well. Speak it daily. Guard it fiercely. Use it humbly. Let your prosperity be clean. Let your abundance be generous. Let your wealth be guided. Let your increase be peaceful. Let your receiving be joyful. Let your giving be free. Let your success be under grace. For when your word becomes aligned with divine law, the world must eventually answer, and it will, and it has already begun. So before you leave this moment, speak one final decree. Say it slowly. Say it with reverence. Say it as though your whole life is listening. I speak the word of faith, and divine order now opens my way. I am guided by divine intelligence. My words are filled with power and peace. God is my unfailing supply. Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. All doors are open. All channels are free. My bills are paid. My work is blessed. My gifts are valued. My opportunities are divinely appointed. My income expands in perfect order. I do not chase money. I stand in divine supply. I am a multi-millionaire by spiritual law. I receive what is mine by divine right, and I use my good with wisdom, gratitude, love, and faith. Now let this word settle. Let it go before you. Let it correct your thoughts. Let it bless your speech. Let it guide your actions. Let it open your imagination. Let it steady your heart. Let it remind you that divine order is working, even when the visible world is silent. If this word has awakened something in you, write your declaration in the comments. I speak the word of faith, and divine order now opens my way. Write it not as a performance. Write it as a covenant. Write it as a line in the sand. Write it as a spiritual announcement that you are no longer available for the old language of lack. From this day forward, speak as one who is supplied. Speak as one who is guided. Speak as one who is chosen for right action. Speak as one who knows that gratitude multiplies good. Speak as one who understands that the spoken word shapes experience. Speak as one who remembers that fear is not the law. God is the law. Divine order is the law. Faith is the law. Abundance is the law. And the word spoken in alignment with truth shall not return empty. It goes forth. It accomplishes. It prospers. It opens the way. So walk in your wealth, not because you strained, not because you begged, not because you feared, but because you spoke the word, and the word became law. And law, when spoken in faith, never returns void. And so it is.